guys, it's Emma and I'm back today for you with another video, and today I'm doing a rant review. And the book that I'm going to be ranting about today to y'all is Red Riding Hood by Sarah Blakely Cartwright, David Leslie Johnson, and an introduction by Catherine Hardwicke. This is a Red Riding Hood retelling, if you couldn't tell already. And it's about Valerie, who lives in this village that is being plagued by a werewolf. When the wolf's attacks essentially start gathering up in amount and increasing in speed, the villagers start panicking, trying to figure out what to do. And it really all centers on Valerie and her figuring out everything going on with the wolf, all the while struggling with her little domestic activities, including whether she wants to marry the blacksmith or run away with the woodcutter. The trigger warnings for this book include gore, death, / death of a loved one, torture, animal death, and animal torture as well. With that being said, I want to put like a little disclaimer right here. This is a rant review. I am going to, be spoiling it, so if you don't want to be spoiled for this book, I wouldn't watch this video. But also, since I'm going to be ranting about this book, I do not mean any hate to fans of this book, to the authors, to fans of these authors. These are simply my opinions. I didn't have a good time with this book. I really, really didn't. And this whole video is going to be me explaining to y'all why. So before we start the video, I would really, really appreciate it if you guys would look down in the description box for all the links that I have there for you guys pertaining to stuff going on in the world right now. And those links, like I said, will be to articles that you guys can interact with and share. And then down in the comment section, let me know whether or not you've read this book, whether you liked it, disliked it, agree or disagree with anything I say about it in this video, whether you like werewolf books, whether you like retellings, the usual, right? So with that being said, let's just get right on into it. We're gonna start with the pros, okay? Pro number one is the pacing. This book is very fast-paced, all right? Like, I flew through this book. It was very, very easy to read. It switches a lot from different POVs, pretty much like all the time. There will be maybe 3 point of view changes in one chapter, which I enjoy. I think that adds, to like the speed of like, oh, okay, no, now we get to see it from this person's point of view, and now we probably get like an added detail or whatever. I like it until I don't. The pacing along with the jumps between point of views really made me want to know what the hell was going on. And then the second pro that I have is simply the lore on werewolves. The wolf or the werewolf is probably the most interesting character for me in this whole book. The blood moon is introduced, and how since the blood moon lasts for 4 days, the werewolf can only change someone into a werewolf in those 4 days of the blood moon. Another example is that when the full moon is out, that's when a werewolf bite can kill. Another really cool thing about this werewolf in here is that, okay, essentially what happens is at one point the wolf reveals itself to Valerie and is like communicating with her telepathically, which is another really cool thing. But the human eyes kind of like come out on the forehead like some shit out of Pan's Labyrinth. It was so cool. It was so neat. Okay, I really enjoyed that. Speaking of enjoyment, now we're gonna talk about what the hell squashed it, okay? The first con with this book is the cardboard as hell characters. There is 0 characterization throughout this entire book. No motivations, actions, desires, or thoughts, honestly, of any of these characters made any sense. Valerie, she is so flip-floppy, all right? Like, she flips from loving this dude to hating this dude to hating this dude and loving this dude, and then, oh, wait a minute, no, what if I choose both? What? All right? The entire beginning of the book, the woodcutter, all right, is Peter, the blacksmith is Henry, all right? Those are her 2 love interests. That's the love triangle, okay? And essentially, she starts out the entire book loving Peter, being obsessed with Peter, wanting to jump Peter's bones, essentially in the cornfield, while everybody else is scything and sickling away. And obviously some tension happens with them, so then, her focus is turned to Henry, and then she essentially rejects Henry, and then once Henry is like, oh, okay, cool, then I'll stay out of you and Peter's way, then she's like, oh, well, wait a minute, no, you're actually kind of hot when you don't want me. What? And Peter and Henry themselves are flat as hell love interests. What do we like about them that even makes them relatively likable? You know what I mean? Again, we'll get to them later. And then every other character, if not including our main three characters, all right, Valerie, Henry, and Peter, is just cartoonishly either reprehensible or sheepish, all right? These characters are not fun to read about. The second con that I have is the horrible love triangle. Listen to me right now. I am sick and tired, all right, of horribly done love triangles. I happen to like a good love triangle. Emphasis on the word good, all right? I like me a good love triangle. I think it's fun. I think it's a little romp in the woods, okay? But horribly done love triangles are the bane of my existence because now you're treating me like I'm an idiot. The entire time, we know who she's gonna end up with. So what's the point of the damn love triangle? Valerie, our main girl, she had more chemistry with one of her girlfriends named Prudence, all right? And Prudence was a bitch that actually really didn't even like Valerie that much, that secretly hated Valerie, all right? So if that's telling you anything, it should be telling you a lot, all right? There's an entire dance scene in this book on page 191 where Valerie and Prudence are essentially dancing when they're both like drunk in the town square amongst this festival. Valerie and Prudence didn't think about which way to turn or about which way the other would. They just did it, and it worked. Loose-limbed, they spun in rapturous circles, and they lifted up their skirts and floated their hands to meet each other's. They stared each other down, and their eyes shone with secrets. Valerie felt exhilarated with the communion she and her friend shared. And then Peter and Henry, all right, had more chemistry with one another than either of them ever had with Valerie, okay? They are positioned almost throughout this entire book to be at one another's throats over Valerie, all right? Anytime these two are in the same picture, they are trying to duke it out. And I'm sure we all know what enemies to lovers is, okay? And I'm sure a more niche audience remembers Spike and Buffy and that little incident with the house, okay? What are you talking about? There was one scene where essentially they were both drunk, they were about to duke it out, and one of them pulls out a knife, and I'm just sitting there and I'm twiddling my thumbs. I'm waiting for y'all to drop your fists and just make out. You know what I mean? And then going off of what I kind of glazed over earlier, what about Henry or Peter is likable to this degree? The only thing we know about Peter is that he's mysterious, with a past with Valerie, okay? Other than that, he's a dick. Okay, for example, on page, 192, Peter and Henry get into a fight over what happened in the caves. Now, what happened with the caves was all the men in the village went to go after the wolf after Valerie's sister is murdered by said monster. And essentially, the men split up in the caves because, oh yes, this is a fantastic idea. And one group has Henry and Peter in it. And Henry and Peter essentially get into an argument about whether or not they should split up. Henry's like, no, we shouldn't. This is a dumbass idea. And Peter's like, well, no, bitch. I actually don't care what you think. I'm going to go off this way. And if you want to come with me, you can. Other than that, sit your dumbass down. And I don't really care what happens to you. Obviously, they all get attacked. And Henry's dad is killed. And so Henry obviously brings this up. And essentially, Henry shoves Peter. And Peter, says, take it easy, friend, regaining his balance, quickly understanding the condition Henry was in. Friend, you left us in the caves. Henry's muscles tensed. And Peter never, denies it. He never apologizes for it either. All right, Peter's a dick. The entire time, Peter is a dick. All right? He doesn't take accountability for anything that he does. So I want to know why we choose him over Henry. And Henry, meanwhile, the only thing we know about him is that he's the safe option. Okay, do we even know what either of these dudes look like? Another thing I don't like particularly about Valerie and Peter is that there's one scene where Peter has walked away from the festival, okay, and Valerie follows him. Valerie is shit-faced. She goes up to him, she's like, no, I love you, I want to be with you, oh my god, yada 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 yada. And then Peter is like, oh my gosh, no, I can't, I'm bad for you, we must stay away from one another. And then Valerie is like, no, I love you so much. And essentially, She's like, you're bleeding. She reached up to tenderly touch his eye because, you know, he and Henry duked it out. And so what, he said, brushing her hand aside roughly. Damn, Valerie, what's the matter with you? What do I have to do to make you stop? Valerie wouldn't take no for an answer because she knew how wonderful yes would be. I merely point this out to emphasize the fact that the consent lines are blurred, all right? Enough to make it disgusting. Personally, for me, okay? Because that's, what the hell? What are we doing here? Also, the going back and forth in this book between, oh my gosh, I love him. Oh my gosh, no, I hate him. Oh my gosh, no, he hates me. Okay, so now I love him. Oh, but wait a minute, no, I rejected him, so now he doesn't love me, but I love him because, oh my gosh, he rejected me. And now, wait a minute, what if I don't have to choose? Okay, because where was it, girl? Towards the end on page 306, Valerie and Henry are running through the town and they're trying to get to Peter, and quote, she looked to Henry, racing through the night. An image flashed through her mind of the three of them on the run together, moving from town to town. She'd never have to choose. You did! What do you mean? What is this gaslighting? I'm being gaslit by pieces of a dead tree, all right? To think that you did not, in fact, already choose your man and reject the other man and are now being like, okay, well, wait a minute. What if I can just have them both in my little pocket? I thought that you didn't like this dude because he was too vanilla, essentially. I thought you liked this dude because he was the sexy, mysterious dude, all right? What made you want both of them? The fact that they wanted you? Understandable. But girl, no. What? What is this? We just completely deleted an entire angst-filled love triangle to be like, okay, well, wait a minute. What if I want both? What was the point? What was the point? The third con that I have with this book is the girl-on-girl hate. Okay? It's rampant. Ripe. It permeates the pages, one might say. The plague of early 2000s, early 2010s, young adult girl-on-girl hate, women being pitted against one another for the sake of a man, or just women being pitted against each other for the sake of anything. Let's just say it's embarrassing when I read a book and I can automatically tell when this was written based on how the female relationships are. On page 244, essentially what happens is there is an instance where the wolf reveals itself to Valerie, the one with the eyes. Roxanne, one of Valerie's best friends, is right there with her. Obviously, the wolf is talking with Valerie telepathically. Roxanne cannot hear anything that they are saying because we can assume of the interaction that Valerie had with the wolf, and Roxanne is kind of scared by that, okay? And so Roxanne doesn't talk to Valerie after Valerie asks her a question, and quote from page 244, Valerie was stung. Roxanne knew that Valerie cared for Claude. She was the only other person who looked out for him when no one else would. Why had she brushed off Valerie's concern? Valerie scanned her memory as she peered into the blank depths of the well. Was it that Roxanne was ashamed of how fearful she'd acted in front of her? Or was it because the wolf had not chosen her? Valerie felt a wicked thrill from deep down inside herself. Maybe Roxanne was jealous. Maybe all the girls were jealous because of her betrothal. Oh my. Here's a thought, Beb. Maybe it's because you telepathically conversed with a wolf, with a werewolf, with the thing that's been preying on all of these people. Maybe that's why she's not talking to you, Beb, you know? But of course, it has to be about you, that the wolf chose you to talk to. And of course she has to be jealous. And of course, Valerie's betrothal to Henry has to be brought up because of course all of the girls are jealous of Valerie because she got the pretty boy in the town. Really? That's the only thing you can come up with? Another example is on page 295 when Valerie has been outed as having conversed telepathically with the wolf. Obviously everybody's like, holy shit, she must be in league with it. Valerie, you know, tells them that the wolf wants her. So the town, basically prior to all this going on, has hired a small religious army of overly religious zealots led by the zealotist of the zealots named Father Solomon. And he's like, okay, yeah, no, we'll give her to the wolf. And so they strap her up to this pole and leave her outside the city for the wolf to essentially come and fetch, right? And Prudence sneaks out to come and talk to Valerie, right? Prudence is like, I want to say, I don't know what to say. And Valerie goes, you don't have to say anything. She says, no, I want to. Prudence bent from her upright posture, hinged forward. Her brown hair fell around her face like a curtain. I want you to know that you may have fooled Roxanne, but you don't fool me, she said, her words hissing like fire. You always thought you were better than us. Too good even for Henry. Your loss is our gain. Now you're gonna get what you deserve. Your loss is our gain? Are you kidding me? This book is exhausting to read. From a feminist lens, it's ridiculous. Con number 4 is the plot holes, okay? When Lucy is murdered by the wolf, Valerie finds that she has a wadded up paper in her hand, which is alluded to being a note. We never find out what the hell was on the note. We never find out what was written on the note. We never find out what the hell was on the note. Secondly, Father Solomon, okay, the leader of the religious army that the town hires to come and rid the town of the wolf, this self-renowned werewolf hunter, he comes into town, right, with, imagine my nails, but they're silver. They're silver, all right? This dude has silver acrylic glue-on nails, essentially, all right? Never used. What was the point of this really cool aesthetic weapon? Aesthetics? Because don't get me wrong, girl, the nails are banging, all right? And I'm not here to knock a bitch over her nails, all right? But I assume you have silver-tipped claws for a reason. You know, werewolf, silver, and then the ending, which we're gonna get into right now, because the 5th con that I have is the ending. In that conversation that the wolf and Valerie have amongst one another telepathically, the wolf tells her that, you know, the wolf chooses her because, quote unquote, she has this darkness about her. The wolf and her have something in common. It's because, quote unquote, Valerie is killed before. The thing that she's killed before is a rabbit. Let me repeat to you, all right? This girl who lives in a medieval type setting where hunting, slaughtering, skinning, and eating animals is a part of everyday life, kills a rabbit. And that's the darkness that she has around her. That's the darkness that this wolf, this supernatural monster, chooses her for. All right, so Valerie is considered a serial killer, a monster for killing a bunny rabbit when she has grown up in this medieval type setting her whole life, having hunted, killed, and eaten rabbits. She's little Miss Hannibalina Lecter. However, that being said, she does in fact torture said rabbit, so that was wild to read about. Cause I'm just sitting here thinking, all right, where the hell did this come from? The second main thing about this con, we don't find out who the wolf is. All right, this entire time, throughout this book, we are being essentially hands on our head, all right, scalp grabbed, all right, forced to look one way, then the other. Oh my gosh, is this person the wolf? No. Actually, is this person the wolf? No. Actually, is this person the wolf? And it's like, we are being so forcefully misled and misdirected to keep us, quote unquote, on our toes. Girl, we're doing tippy toes here, all right? And we're being forced to do so, all right? All for us to not find out who the damn wolf is. All for the ending to essentially be, oh yeah, no, this person could be the wolf, but we're not actually going to tell you. If you actually want to find out who the wolf is, watch the movie that's coming out. I ought to throw this damn book in your face. All of that misdirection, all of that misleading, all of this tension put on finding out the wolf's identity, and we don't even do it. It's like we gave up 98% of the way through. It's like, okay, well, we didn't, no. You know what? We don't actually have to find out who the wolf is. I don't actually care about avenging my sister that I've been talking about this whole damn time. Like, what? This is what I'm telling y'all when I say that this is what I'm telling y'all when I say that the damn characterizations don't make sense. Oh, it's wild. All right, and then the last con number 6 that I have is the bland writing style. Remember how I said earlier that I liked jumping from POV to POV? I liked that, all right? What I hated, however, was how jumpy this book was. And by that, I mean that there are literally missing pieces of action and world building in this book that I had to place together myself, all right? I didn't know I was playing Mad Libs with the plot of this book. I didn't sign up for this. This was not in my contract. And there were typos in here, which, sorry, can't look past. And I learned after I read this book that this book was originally a screenplay for said movie, and they kind of just revamped it into this book. We can tell, which is disappointing because not all novelizations equal pure and utter crap. So what happened here? I gave this book 2 stars. Just like almost every single Atlanta sports team, this book did really well in the beginning, and then once it got to something important, i.e. the other 75% of the book, it choked. So take from that what you will. So you guys, that was my spoilery rant review for Red Riding Hood. I hope that you've enjoyed. Wow, I've been 2-0 for Red Riding Hood retellings, really. I haven't had fun, really, for either one of them. The other one was Red Wolf. So, you know what? I hope that I can read at least one decent Red Riding Hood retelling in my life. I'm praying for it. But anyway, you guys, with that being said, I hope that you've enjoyed. I hope that you'll continue to look out for more stuff on my channel. I hope that you guys are staying safe. And lastly, I hope that you guys have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.